Kwasi adjusted his bag as he walked through the gates of the University of Johannesburg. The air was different here, vibrant with the promise of new beginnings. As a Ghanaian student, he felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. South Africa was a new world, filled with opportunities and challenges. He attended his first lecture and, as fate would have it, found a seat next to Nandi, a striking Zulu girl with a warm smile. They exchanged pleasantries, then Kwasi couldn't help but notice the spark in her eyes. Over the next few weeks, Kwasi and Nandi's paths crossed often. They shared study sessions, coffee breaks, and long conversations about their dreams and cultures. Kwasi admired Nandi's intelligence and strength, while Nandi was drawn to Kwasi's kindness and determination. Their friendship blossomed into something deeper. They became inseparable, spending late nights studying and exploring Johannesburg together. The university became their shared world, a place where their love grew stronger every day. Kwasi and Nandi's bond was cemented through countless shared experiences. They explored the vibrant streets of Johannesburg, attended cultural festivals, and supported each other through academic pressures. One memorable night, they attended a Zulu cultural festival. Nandi introduced Kwasi to traditional dances and cuisine. Kwasi, in turn, shared stories of his Ashanti heritage, creating a beautiful exchange of cultures. Their relationship was not without challenges. Balancing studies and personal lives was tough, but they faced it together. Kwasi often stayed up late helping Nandi with her projects, and she did the same for him. Their friends admired their relationship, often referring to them as the perfect couple. They had a chemistry that was undeniable, and their love story became an inspiration for others on campus. During their final semester, Kwasi and Nandi made plans for the future. They dreamed of traveling the world, furthering their studies, and building a life together. Their love seemed unbreakable. But life has a way of testing even the strongest bonds. A misunderstanding began to brew, one that neither of them saw coming. It started with a rumor. Kwasi was seen having lunch with a female classmate, and whispers spread quickly. Nandi, already stressed with final exams, confronted Kwasi. "Is it true?" Nandi asked, her voice trembling. "Are you seeing someone else?" Kwasi was taken aback. "No, Nandi, she's just a friend. We were discussing a project." But Nandi's insecurities got the better of her. The pressures of their final semester and the looming future added fuel to the fire. They argued, harsh words were exchanged, and emotions ran high. In the heat of the moment, they decided to part ways. Kwasi left for Ghana immediately after graduation, carrying a heavy heart. Nandi stayed in Johannesburg, trying to piece her life back together. It was only after their separation that Nandi discovered she was pregnant. She tried to reach out to Kwasi, but by then, he had left for the US to specialize in medicine. The news of her pregnancy was both a shock and a blessing. Nandi was determined to raise her child alone. She named him Thando, meaning a gift in Zulu, and found solace in her son's innocent eyes. Nandi's family was supportive. Her maternal grandmother, Gogo, offered to care for Thando while Nandi pursued her studies in Germany. It was a difficult decision, but Nandi knew it was for the best. She wrote letters to Kwasi, but they went unanswered. She assumed he had moved on and focused on building a life for herself and her son. In Germany, Nandi excelled in her studies, but her heart remained tethered to South Africa. She missed her son terribly and cherished the holidays when she could return to see him. Kwasi, meanwhile, was thriving in the US. He poured himself into his studies, becoming a top student in his medical program. Yet, a part of him was always haunted by thoughts of Nandi. He wondered what had become of her, regretted the harsh words, and missed her dearly. But he assumed she had moved on and tried to focus on his future. Nandi faced her own struggles in Germany. Balancing studies and motherhood from afar was challenging. She often cried herself to sleep, missing Thando and wondering if she made the right choice. Despite the distance, both Kwasi and Nandi carried a piece of each other in their hearts. Their love, though tested, had not completely faded. During a semester break, Nandi decided to spend a few weeks in South Africa to be with her son. She arrived in Johannesburg, her heart pounding with anticipation and nerves. One sunny afternoon, Nandi took Thando to a park in Sandton. As she watched him play, she suddenly heard a familiar voice behind her. Nandi. Kwasi's voice was filled with shock and something else, hope. She turned, and their eyes met. The world seemed to stand still. Kwasi, she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. They stood there, staring at each other, until Thando ran up to them, breaking the spell. Kwasi looked at the boy, then back at Nandi. Is he? Nandi nodded, tears streaming down her face. Yes, Kwasi. He's your son. Later that evening, they met at a quiet cafe. The atmosphere was tense as they recounted their lives over the past 3 years. Why didn't you tell me? Kwasi's voice was a mix of anger and hurt. I tried, but you had already left, Nandi explained. I didn't want to burden you while you were pursuing your dreams. Kwasi's anger faded, replaced by sadness. I wish I had known. I would have been there for you and Thando. They sat in silence for a while, the weight of their past hanging heavily between them. Slowly, they began to talk about their time apart, the challenges they faced, and the dreams they still held. Over the next few weeks, Kwasi and Nandi spent a lot of time together, reconnecting and getting to know each other again. They shared laughter, tears, and stories, rebuilding the trust they once had. One evening, while walking through a lively street market, Kwasi suddenly stopped and pulled Nandi close. I never stopped loving you, Nandi, he said softly. I know it won't be easy, but I want us to be a family. Nandi looked into his eyes, her heart swelling with emotion. I never stopped loving you either, Kwasi. Let's make this work. They decided to move forward together, taking one step at a time. They knew it wouldn't be easy, but they were determined to make it work for the sake of their love and their son. Preparations for their wedding began in earnest, with both families coming together to celebrate this union. The wedding took place in a beautiful town in Sandton, a grand affair that blended Ashanti and Zulu traditions. The ceremony was filled with vibrant colors, traditional music, and joyous celebrations. Kwasi wore a rich Kent cloth representing his Ashanti heritage, while Nandi dazzled in a stunning Zulu attire. The air was filled with laughter and happiness as they exchanged vows, promising to love and support each other for the rest of their lives. As they looked into each other's eyes, surrounded by friends and family, Kwasi and Nandi knew that their love had been tested and had emerged stronger. They had come full circle, from misunderstanding and separation to reunion and unbreakable love. Years later, Kwasi and Nandi sat on their porch, watching Thando play in the garden. They smiled at each other, grateful for the journey that brought them back together. Their love story was one of resilience, forgiveness, and the unyielding power of true love. They often recounted their story to Thando, teaching him about the strength of love and the importance of family. Their journey had been difficult, but it had brought them to a place of deep understanding and joy. Kwasi and Nandi's story became a legend in their families, the tale of love that overcame all odds. They knew that no matter what challenges life threw at them, they would face them together as a family. Their wedding in Sandton was remembered as a beautiful fusion of cultures, a celebration of love that transcended boundaries. It was a day that marked the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. Kwasi continued his medical practice, making a name for himself as a dedicated and compassionate doctor. Nandi pursued her passion for education, working to improve the lives of children in South Africa. Their lives were busy, but they always made time for each other and for Thando. They traveled, explored new places, and created countless memories as a family. The bond between Kwasi and Nandi grew stronger with each passing year. They faced challenges, but their love was a constant source of strength and comfort. They often reflected on their journey, grateful for the second chance they were given. They had learned that love requires patience, understanding, and a willingness to forgive. As they sat together on their porch, watching the sunset, they knew that their love story was far from over. It was a story that would continue to unfold, filled with love, laughter, and the promise of a beautiful future. Kwasi looked at Nandi, his heart filled with gratitude. "I'm so glad we found our way back to each other," he said softly. Nandi smiled, her eyes sparkling with love. "Me too, Kwasi. Our journey was worth it." They held hands, knowing that no matter what the future held, they would face it together. Their love had been tested and had emerged stronger, a testament to the enduring power of true love. Their story was a beautiful reminder that love can conquer all, bringing two hearts together against all odds. Kwasi and Nandi's journey was a testament to the power of love, resilience, and the unbreakable bond that they shared. They knew that their love would continue to grow, bringing joy and happiness to their lives. They had found their way back to each other, and their love story would be remembered for generations to come.